Hey guys, welcome back to the show here. Zach and I are excited. Just a brief introduction. I'm Ozzy Garner. I am the founder, one of the founders rather. Zach is the other founder of Advirtis. And we also own a private consulting for equity firm called 1614, where we help several different types of businesses, especially SaaS companies entering into reseller market, as well as marketing agencies looking to scale their agency and their business all in it. In the show, we're going to talk about how to grow the marketing agency. We're going to talk about what it means to go to market right now, especially in the age of AI. And we're also going to talk about what it means just to be a business owner and, some of the nuances that you experience. And as Zach kind of says, we're just marketers looking to help other marketers. So we're happy to be here today. We're going to dive into what it looks like to the market as an agency owner, how to go to market. We're going to talk about some of the new AI things happening and what's happening with open AI and the market, and even platforms like Disney and how they're promoting themselves and things like that. So stay tuned, but we're excited to have you here. Zach, I know you got plenty to talk about. We already did a little mini session before this, but let's hear what you got to say. I know you got plenty to talk about.
Well, probably biggest news is now OpenAI actually has some leaked documentation and that they're creating their own ad platform within OpenAI, which, surprise, surprise, I know that Sam Altman said that he doesn't like ads. He hates ads. It feels disingenuous to the actual user. But yet he's building an ads platform automation team. He
Wait,
has
wait,
documentation.
do you mean to tell me he's did this? Was this like pre for-profit company or post when he said he was against
Yeah,
it?
I think it was probably pre, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I think their thought is that they could get enough users paying for pro. But they found out that out of all their users paying for ChatGPT, like I think it was like less than 20 or 30% was paying for ChatGPT. Everyone else is on the free version. So I think you realize can't really sustain a $1 trillion evaluated business on just users paying for this.
And
So,
by the way, folks, that's private. That's like one of the largest
oh
pre-evaluation
my
I've
gosh.
ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they said?
Yeah, it was, I think it's, if not the largest private evaluation for a company. So, and it's just because it's the first, right?
Sure.
Everyone likes to talk about being the first to something. And so they, and it's nothing to snuff at. They are a great business. We use ChatGPT all the time,
Hmm.
but it as soon as they launch ads, I have a strong feeling that all of our agency partners, all their clients, all of your clients are probably going to want to hop right on that bandwagon, start testing out some minimal budget and see what kind of results they get.
Oh, we see it all the time. I mean, considering Advertis, we're partnered with over 300 marketing agencies here in the US. It's we're seeing all the time where their clients have this vanity of like, well, what can AI do? What
Mm-hmm.
will AI do, and how will it affect the campaigns and this and that? And it's funny, like Zach and I actually were integrating into our sales team where they have to basically use a proposal for every single deal now instead of just kind of going on the flow with our partnerships. And so we actually had to do a revamp of our scope of work to ensure it was in line with current, like with AI and SEO and so forth. And what we found is like, a lot of these clients, it's a vanity word, AI.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Bridget, my wife, and I, we were at the department store yesterday looking at washer and dryers. Our washer just went out. Ugh. And we were looking at, and a lot of these like appliances and pretty much anything now has the word AI in it.
Oh my goodness.
It's so
Wow.
frustrating.
Like why?
It's
There's
like,
no need.
I'm pretty sure it's a sensor, it's not really AI.
Just a simple sensor.
Freaking
Yeah.
marketers.
Yeah. The AI decides which load it is out of three options. Ooh, choose which three you want.
Total dry time, 2 hours. Wow.
Wow. As opposed to an hour and 58 minutes. Oh,
Yeah,
that's much
precisely.
so much better. Um, but yeah, AI is kind of coming for everything. And I see, you know, we we've actually consulted with a no code automation agency ourselves, and we've done a lot of work with him,
For years.
and
For years.
and for years, and great to work with. But something that we're finding out is that when you just go to market and you just say, I'll create a custom AI solution for your business to do X, Y, and Z, that is so hard to sell. But if you go to market and you say, hey, I'm going to make sure you never have to worry about clients again, lead acquisition again. I'm going to make sure that you are always showing up at the top of Google. I'm going to make sure that I get you I'm going to build you a website that converts every visitor that comes through. It's those types of hooks, which really, I mean, it's marketing, right? But it's those
Mhm.
types of hooks that people just end up using AI tools on the back end to build out those funnels or to build out those systems. And I see a lot of marketers looking towards those AI tools specifically to build out those automations and those funnels, but they're pitching it by solving a problem rather than saying, I'll build something custom AI for you, which is
Yeah.
it just so blue ocean. I like,
Well, it's
what
like
does that mean?
it's like sales 101. I mean, to me, honest, when we first went to market, part of the biggest problem that we had was how do you go to market as a new brand? And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes a lot of business owners, they're like, I do everything all the time, whenever I want, all at once, and it's confusing because there's so many. I actually sum it up to paradox of choice. I think one of the biggest nuances with AI that we've seen in our industry of marketing for the last 3 or 4 years, especially, is there's so many tools available, but no one knows how to use any of them. And it's so, if you do, I bet you only know how to use like 40% of what it actually can do. And it's
Yeah.
like crazy. And, the marketers that we're seeing right now that are having the most success are the ones like you just said. They're positioning themselves in the market as they solve one problem, and they use AI in the back end to solve that problem because they figured it out how to use 60% or more of that tool. That's really
Yep.
it.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And oftentimes they're not going to market or closing their clients or new prospects with this new AI tool that they have that apparently no one else has. It's again just solving the problem. That's all it
Mm-hmm.
is. I
Yep.
agree.
Agreed. Precisely. Well, and the other thing is like, marketing in general, it's, and I've said this for a long time, what these clients are actually paying for when we talk about clients like businesses are actually paying for is a return on investment. So what
Mm-hmm.
are they actually buying? They're actually buying a report. They're actually buying the reporting. And I would argue, and I bet you would even, somewhat agree with me on this, Zach, is that a lot of the work in marketing is the analytic side, the data. It is actually presenting the data like to be as accurate as possible and to show them what they're investing into when they invest in that marketing agency or that service specifically. The data is probably one of the most important parts. And that's where AI can really start to shine, to be honest, to help out with that. I mean, how many agencies have we worked with who have gigantic data science teams?
Oh man, yeah, it's not many, not many. But there are the larger agencies, the one that do really really well. They do have data science teams, and they're able to charge 6 7 figures per contract because they have large data sets, large data teams, large analytic teams. And one of our favorite agency partners, um, they actually go to market saying that they will help create data sets and glean industry insights from those data sets, and that's part of their unique value proposition to the market, is that you're not just using them to just get leads, or you're not just using them to get people to the website. You're also using them to understand where their industry is going, where their market is going, how users are thinking about their clients' products and services, and how they're expecting to use them in the future. So those are like topical data dives, and that's a very easy and unique thing that a lot of agencies could actually upsell or cross sell into, apart from just typical service delivery and getting an outcome like a lead or a user to a site. Um, and I think in the age of AI, I think that strategy is going to become more and more valuable. I think people who will differentiate themselves, people who will sink versus people who swim. I think people who will swim will be the people who are able to look at a report, look at everything at a high level, come up with a strategy, and are able to make it unique as well as relevant to our current culture and the client's current audience, right?
Yep.
But even then, that's shrinking with AI. You're able to create, dozens of creatives with the push of a button. You're able to analyze, data sets with the push of a button. It's crazy.
Yeah, but what's true is, and I think you kind of pressed on this a little bit, is as the agency, I can give you an example. As an agency, we're looking at the trends
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening in market. That AI is not going to be aware of that. You're going to have
Yeah.
to prompt it correctly. And that's where a lot of, like, I think you and I talked about this before. A lot of agencies are afraid of AI. And rightfully so in some capacity. Sure, if you're doing the bare minimum, if you're going in and you're trying to just put together a half-assed campaign, like, it, of course you should be scared. But if you are taking real data and you're backing it and you're using analytics from, like a lot of these agencies, they focus on home service based companies because that's all they've done for the last 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
they have so much data on it. They have no other choice but to be successful. Like, in Advirtis, the example I was going to share earlier, we're working with so many agencies and we work in so many different types of businesses that we get to see trends that happen in real time like that. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of, ad spend, or,
Yep.
like that we see all the time every year. And so we have to kind of capitalize on that data that we've collected over that year and then move it into, following year into our campaigns. And that's a huge, I think you said earlier, value proposition that we had discovered once we got into the industry and learned working with these agencies that AI just doesn't have access to, not yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Until we
Not yet.
prompt it, to give it that, right?
Yes, exactly. Until we give it, funny enough, until we give it, and then it takes that job away. It's that's so ironic. But I agree with you. Being, and that's isn't that just being good at what you do in general? Is if you do it enough times, eventually what works, what doesn't, because you've done it, you've tried it, you failed forward, and then you create a system and a process around it, right? And then that
Yep.
way you can scale up from there. And that is where most successful agencies are doing. There are some agencies out there that we're working with that is AI scrambled. They're always, oh, look at that tool. Ooh, look at that new shiny AI tool. Ooh, look at that new shiny AI tool. But really, probably what they should be focused on is just getting more leads, getting more sales,
Yes.
systematizing their processes, building a team, rather than always looking for that silver bullet that just never quite solves all their business problems.
Well, you bring up a good point too. Like, a lot of business owners get caught up in the vanity themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that we see it in our clients as, marketers, but also in our own as business owners.
Yep.
Like, I give you an example. One of the most beautiful things that ChatGPT has offered me in this business, by the way, is that anytime I have an idea for a new SOP that needs to be implemented, I literally pull out my phone. I call her Chloe. She's like my assistant. She's like one of the best assistants I've ever had. I'm not even joking. She, side note, we were playing Catan last night and we couldn't figure out a rule. So I just pulled Chloe out. I'm like, hey, Chloe, all of us are here. I introduce everyone. And I'm like, we need to know what this rule is. It was like, how many cards do you need to trade to get one resource? And she's like, oh yeah, you just do this. Hey, Nate. Hey, Kaylee. Hey, Bridget. Like, hey, Oz. She called me Oz. Funny enough. Anyways, ridiculous. All that to say, one of my favorite things is that I can turn to the chat. I can say, hey, Chloe, I'm building an SOP for my sales team. This is what I want to do. She breaks it into easily read. Obviously, I prompt her to do this, right? But she can break it down so easily, step by step, easy to understand, to receive from them, not just from me. And she knows everybody by name now. It's legit. And as a business owner, when you learn to use these tools, you know how much time that has saved me? A ridiculous amount of hours in the business. And then I go to implement it. It's so easy. It's a streamline. And when you become a business that has, 16, 20, 30 people in it, it matters a ton how much where you're spending your time. And that's something I really do appreciate about it. Also, when I'm looking at numbers for the year with my finance team, Bridget and I are looking together at our P&Ls and stuff. If I'm having any questions at all, I can literally, if no one can answer it, which they should, but if no one can, we'll turn to ChatGPT and say, hey, where are we missing here? And most of the time it'll catch. And these are little nuanced things that you can use AI to really benefit you as a business owner, to help you focus on things like sales, like what Zach's talking about, adding new service lines in, and you can still use the AI to help build that stuff out. And I think a lot of people, and I'm getting on a tangent here, so forgive me, but I think a lot of business owners, especially in the marketing agency side of things, the smaller agencies, I noticed they try to make the AI do everything for them. And that's just not real.
No,
It's not that good.
no, it's not. It's not that good. But it's funny you talking about things like SOPs. Um, it it can be life changing when a business owner enters the space where they want to create a new service, they want to upsell or cross sell into it, but then who creates that new process? Who creates that new system? But you can use AI because it exists out there. People have done it hundreds of times before. You can use AI to create those operating procedures, to create those systems, and then implement it into their own workflow. Who cares if they're using Notion or ClickUp or Monday or Trello or whatever? They can just easily create the SOP, put it on a Google Doc, get it in front of their team, tell their team this is how you're going to do this, right? And then create templates in your operating system or your project management tool, whatever. And now now your team is trained on it. You don't have to be the bottleneck anymore, and you can continue focusing on growing your business. And you're right, a lot of agency owners, they're trying to look for an AI tool that just automatically manages things, but they're not putting in the systems and processes with the current team that they have to manage things, which is really funny. And so they become the operating system, and they become redundant.
And by the way, folks, like everything we're telling you, we know from experience. Okay,
Because we've done it. Yeah.
we've done it. We won't say we're trying to seem cool, but we've done all these things ourselves, so we understand. I
We
mean, we can.
failed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I was the person. Ozzy knows this. I was a person that was at the crux of every new client account, every onboarding that we did with a new client or new agency partner. I was a crux of how, like, what is our scope of work? What's our process? And yeah, it was written down in places. And yes, there were some light systems at hand, but it wasn't until, honestly, here's a shameless plug for ClickUp. Uh, we got into ClickUp as our current project management system, and we said there's not going to be a single task that anybody on the team works on that isn't in ClickUp, that isn't in this project management tool, and that was on the service delivery side. Um, and this was several years ago, but at first, there was a lot of push, and it was really uncomfortable. And Ozzy and I kept the team accountable to making sure that all their tasks, all their workflow was in ClickUp. From there, we're able to create templates for tasks, lists for tasks. We're able to create whole projects for tasks, timelines for things. And now, every time that there is a new-ish service, and when I say new, I mean maybe instead of using CallRail, we use Call Tracking Metrics as our call tracking tool, and there needs to be an SOP for that. What does that look like? What's the login? How do you get it set up? Who sets it up? And agency owners who are listening to this right now might think, well, if I have the right people on my team, they'll do that. They'll know how to do that. And it's like, will they do it
Maybe.
every time?
No,
No,
maybe. I mean,
maybe.
in our experience too, it's like, sure, when you have 10 clients, but when you get to like 100 plus clients, it
Yeah.
changes everything. But
Yes.
I mean, that's a big jump from 10 to 100, but I mean,
Yeah.
even 10 to 20, right? And
Yep.
it's like, back to your point, having the systems, you've systemized your business. Now you actually can serve your team and focus on morale, focus on culture, because you can measure KPIs. in each
Yep.
individual person. You can set expectations being proactive instead of reactive. You can hold them accountable to those KPIs and then make sure they're on the path for their own success. Like Zach brought up ClickUp. On the sales side of Advirtis, we do HubSpot. We use HubSpot. And, our sales team, we had certain salespeople on our team come into me and like, hey, I'm really looking to make some more commission. What do I need to do? Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, we have KPIs in place. If you want to increase your commissions, you got to increase these KPIs. And so when that happened, sure enough, we was able to measure that, able to find that success. And guess what? They got more commission. And it works that way, right? Data is never going to, if you want more of something, you increase it. If you want less of something, you decrease it. But you got to track it no matter what. And to Zach's point, implementing those systems and having, I think we talked about this before. Zach, you said this really well. I'm kind of finishing a thought here. There is a moment in the business as a business owner, especially for marketing agencies, your marketing agency owners, listen up. You build a team, but then there's a slight curtain that has to be removed, a veil, to where you build a company. Those are two different things. And Zach, you want to talk on that a little bit?
Yeah. I was meeting with one of my mentors again a couple of years ago, and I was telling him about um, all my frustrations with the business, and if I just had the right person on the team, if I could just get XYZ person to do a little bit better and train them more, or if I can find somebody that can do that specific job or role better, then everything would be fine. And he looked at me and he said, why are you building a team? And I said, what do you mean? That's my job. I am COO and co-founder
Duh.
of Advirtis. I'm building a team. And he goes,
Duh, Mr. Mentor who knows everything. Like, what are you talking about?
but he seriously said, why are you building a team? And I said, well, because I need the right people on my team so we can grow our business. And he says, you need to be building a company. And I said, I I was kind of shocked by that, and I think the nuance is he was really encouraging me to focus on building systems and processes for a role, not for a person. So I think I was very focused on matching people's strengths and weaknesses to their current role. And I kind of made the role fit around the person. But what I should have been doing is I should have been very clear on the role that I needed filled in our company, the responsibility that we needed filled in this company, and made sure that the person was up to the task for that role first. Um, yes, it's good to acknowledge, your teammates' skills and strengths and weaknesses, but in that moment, I was so focused on just hiring the right person who will solve all the business problems and just know what to do. But really, what I was doing is I was taking the work off of myself and trying to put it onto another teammate, somebody who won't care as much about the business as I do because they're just an employee and I'm co-owner.
Precisely.
And telling that person, you figure it out. When in reality, I need to figure it out. I need to build it. I need to create the system. I need to create the business system. And then I need to train that person on that system and then let them go with it, right? After they're trained on it. And that's been hugely successful. It kind of is a point in your business where when you start thinking about different roles in your company, you go from thinking about different people's names in your company to thinking about their positions that they fill in the company, and making sure that it's not just um, you know how does Kyle work in account management, but what do I need in account management, and then how can I train this teammate to do well in the account management role. And since doing that, it even serves your team well. It serves your employees very, very well, because they are very grateful for getting that clarity. Because oftentimes when you tell them to go figure it out, they don't have the clarity to do well. And then you're wondering why they're struggling. And it's like, oh, because I haven't built this out for you. That's why.
Yeah.
Duh.
How true is that though? I mean, I think one of the things that you and I, when we first started the company, we were always against, because we worked in corporate before, we were always against like, policies and handbooks and stuff. LOL. And after a few years of dealing with, HR and employees and that kind of stuff, and realizing that there's a reason why you set boundaries for the company and for the people, it actually ends up serving them better because they now know what they can and can't really kind of follow. And kind of the same point that you're making when it comes to having, thinking about the position as a whole instead of the person in that position. Which, by the way, I do want to encourage other listeners. If you're in a startup mode, like if you're just getting started, of course, you're going to have to mold to your team's talent. You got to do that. That's fair. And that's kind of the nuances. There is a moment in your business where you will have to trade that. And I think that's the handoff that Zach's talking about here is like, when we're looking at that position, yes, you can identify the strengths and weaknesses of that employee, but what you got to do it with direction. Like, okay, this person has strengths and weaknesses. For marketing, no, for account management. Yeah, for account management, that's the right one. So it's like you're trying to form and put together. My mic blew. It put together a what your vision is for that position and that role and how it's going to serve the rest of your team, essentially. So it's
Yep.
perfect.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. And that you're right though. Like in the startup phase and startup mode, it's kind of all hands on deck. Lines are very blurry. You're just getting off the ground. But once you're starting to exit that startup mode, and you're doing, like 500 to seven figures, per month, I'm sorry, per year, then yeah, you need to take your foot off the gas and you need to be able to start delegating, create through systems and processes, right?
Mm.
I agree with you 100%. And again, a lot of this is because we failed and we fail forward. And
Amen.
and
It's so
these
true.
are lessons that we've learned in the not so distant past. But again, we kind of want to be marketers who help other marketers, and these are things that we're grateful when other people called us out on, or things that we found out on our own. And so the people have grown other marketing agencies before, and they know a thing or two. So
Yeah.
I'd say don't hesitate to reach out and ask the question that you're embarrassed to ask, because oftentimes somebody would be more than happy to answer, especially somebody who was in your position before.
Yeah. I think Zach brings up a strong point when it comes to a business owner. Oftentimes, agency owners, we typically like to consider ourselves like a part of the business. Like, and oftentimes our team, when you have a team, they need you to be working on the business. And, part of going back to our original part of the conversation of, having AI in today's, in the business today versus even when Zach and I started Advirtis back in 21, AI wasn't really as huge of a thing back then. And had we have had access to these tools that we have today, we would have been able to grow the business so much quicker than we did. I mean, we got to seven figures within 18 months of operating. And it's like when you realize the amount of the access to tools that we have now, even to just that short amount of time ago, it is tremendous for you as a business owner. And if you're intentionally building the business in a direction to where you're able to work on it, you're going to be successful. You're going to be successful.
Yep. Yep.
So, I
Yep.
mean, by the way, Zach and I are this week, we're actually going to Colorado. We do an annual trip. We're going to freeze our rear ends off. Zach's even growing his hair out, so he has a little warmth on his head. And I didn't shave my beard line, so I can have a little extra warmth on my cheek. We're going to climb Mount Bierstadt. Is that how you pronounce that, Zach?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And we're going to talk about the business for 2026. We're going to be planning for the business and planning for our team's success. We do this once a year. And the beauty in that, and something that I don't think many business owners really think about, is when you're able to take that step outside of your business day to day and really focus on it, it allows you to have that direction of what you're trying to build it towards. And so Zach and I have always made a commitment to each other to do something like that, some kind of getaway or something, like whether it's even just going to his office over there, he's coming to my office over here to spend the day together, to have that focus and direction. The team knows it, but we built a team to manage it while we are able to do things like that. And it takes years of time and energy, but these AI tools can really help you make that more intentional and then build that direction so you as a business owner can work on that on your business, especially you marketing agency owners.
Agreed. Yep. It the steps to build a successful business haven't necessarily changed. The tools to get you there are making it easier, and they're
Yep.
making it it's so lightning fast. Instead of you working on for 2 hours on an SOP, you have 80% of it done through ChatGPT instead of you working on this whole marketing funnel for XYZ for this new offer, new hook. Like, again, AI
10
is able
minutes,
to,
20
yep,
minutes.
it's making it lightning fast, and you bet that your competitors, especially those who are younger and hungrier, who are in that startup phase, they're using those tools. They're using every advantage that they can get.
Yeah.
So um, but this was a great conversation. I think it was very appropriate, really timely, and we'll keep y'all updated on Open AI and their new ads platform whenever it's released. Who knows? But I have a feeling it's going to be sooner rather than later for sure.
Yeah, with Atlas and everything else. And then,
Yep.
yeah, I got plenty of thoughts on this, and we'll be happy to share in our next episodes to come. But by the way, feel free to follow us, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel here. We're excited to finally launch this. We've kind of been head down for the last several years, and we're finally getting our head up, and we're excited to be a part of it. But by the way, so check us out. You can follow us on, LinkedIn. Zach and I both are the founders of Advirtis, where we've partnered with over 300 marketing agencies here in the US, and we've scaled past, what is it, 9 figures now, with helping these agencies get revenue and their clients get revenue in the door. So really excited that you're here. And until next time, thanks.